time travel, because when you go into trance, whether it's through plant medicine or deep meditation, time no longer exists. And this is not the first time you've lived this life. It's not just past and future lives, it's parallel lives. And you're choosing different choices, moving into different beliefs. You are so ridiculously beautiful and powerful. And every single time we get stronger and stronger in that belief, and we destroy that crazy thought that's been put out through the media that the humanity is a virus, that humanity is like born broken or born sinful. And you remember that you are the light of this world. Ripples go out into the multiverse, not just into our planet. And they help beings that not only have not been born, but who you've already been. And before I kind of charge into random slides, I really, really want you guys to know that you matter. Every little act of kindness, every little act of consciousness, every day that you show up in your liberty and your freedom, you matter so much. And you're going to have to remind yourselves of that every day, because every day you are getting over 500 different messages from the media and from the radio and from your phones that you don't matter and that you can't make a difference. The world has only ever been changed by small groups of conscious people, guys. That's the only way it's ever happened. And we're literally being asked to protect not just our human rights, but our literal sovereignty over our own bodies and our own medical system. And that's a big responsibility to hand over to future generations. One of my favorite things about shamanism, as Lewis was talking about, is they teach us to think about what's going to happen 7 generations in the future, and to create a world that's going to serve the beings that are going to come after us, but also the people we're going to become. I don't know about you, but I have no intentions of wearing masks in my 50s. No one can make me, okay? I'm going to leave the science of that to Kevin, because I can rant. I promise. I can really, really rant, and we're not going there, okay? My main modality nowadays is theta healing. I started off doing a lot of angel healing work. I trained with Doreen Virtue and Charles Virtue back before Doreen became a crazy Christian. And I used a lot of angel healing, and I got guided deeper and deeper on the healing pathway. Long story short, theta healing is created by a lovely lady called Vanya Silverten. She's worth Googling. She lives in Montana in the back of Beyond. Basically, she was performing miracles a lot, and they hooked her up to an EEG machine, and every time she got a miracle, she was in the theta brainwave state. And that's why it's called theta healing. It was just to keep it more scientific, but that's what I do. I work for the biggest theta healing organization in Europe. I'm their youngest teacher. I've been teaching there for 4 years now, and I pretty much teach 3 or 4 classes every month and run a healing clinic from my home. I also run a spa in central London with my husband that's all about holistic healing, etc. So there are lots of different types of lifeline and different parts of timelines that are all creating the beliefs that you're experiencing. And in theta, and as well as in shamanism, all these lifetimes and all of these energies and belief systems converge to form a tapestry of your life. Almost like a heartbeat that pulses in our collective existence. So you're not just dealing with past lives. People always say to me, why am I still working on my mother and father issues? It's been 10 years. And you go, not the first time you've been a father, not the first time you've been a mother. How many lifetimes? Every time you were born as a human, you had a father and a mother. You're just trying to work out thousands of lives through 2 people. Okay? So you have a lot of beliefs, a lot of archetypes that become a tiny fragment of a lifetime when we're looking at them. But when you go deep into that powerful presence of who you really are, you can see all of these belief systems working together. And you can actually use things as simple as muscle testing to figure out what strand of energy you're working with and how to change it very, very simply. You can literally go into Google and type in muscle testing, and it will show you how to work with your subconscious mind to figure out not the ultimate truth, but what you believe. Okay? You can't ask your body who you should marry. You can't ask your body what supplement you should take, because it will tell you what your subconscious mind believes to be true. But you can ask it what your truths are and see if you like them and if they're in alignment with the person you want to become and the light you want to be to this world. And it makes it much easier to change them, because very often what we believe and what we actually think are 2 very different things. Okay? I get a lot of people saying that to me. I really believe in abundance. I really believe in health, and I'm sick. And it's like your mind might, but your mind makes up less than 5% of who and what you really are. Your energy. So you're dealing with past lives, present lives, parallel lives, future lives, and interdimensional lives when we're talking about lifetimes and timelines. There are 4 different levels of belief as well, and I think I have a pretty slide for the next one. There are 4 different levels of belief, like there are 4 chambers of the human heart and 4 different levels of the human mind. So there's beliefs that you acquired on your soul through your different lifetimes, and they literally show up as gifts inside your heart. So if I energetically scan you, or the shamans energetically scan you, and your heart lights up, right, that means you came in with it from other systems and it was already there. That can be anything from music to healing to what's it called? Somebody like my nephew's an engineer. He's gifted mathematically. He's 3 years old. You know, that didn't come from us. It could have come from his ancestors, it could have come from his soul, but there are gifts we bring in that come straight from a higher power. Okay, whatever name you decide to give it. If I scan you and your whole body lights up, that means it's in your DNA. And that can go back up to 7 to 8 generations, sometimes even longer. And those are beliefs that you absolutely normally have no idea why you believe. But if you think about what they believed about women in the workforce 500 years ago, about what they believed about consciousness 500 years ago, all of that have been given to you by your ancestors as well, both the good and the bad, because they gave you some pretty amazing stuff as well, right? But you are the love of thousands, and all of that love and all of those beliefs is carried in your genetics and in your DNA, and it can have a powerful influence on the career that you choose, on the life path that you walk. One of our strongest subconscious influences is the unlived dreams of our families and our ancestors. And it tends to pull us with a momentum we don't even really understand sometimes. If I scan you and your auric field lights up, that means it's in the history level or the level of the collective consciousness. So things like cancer is incurable, diabetes is incurable, narcissism is incurable, right? All of those are in the collective consciousness. And what it means is humanity has not found a cure for it yet. Okay, it means at our level of consciousness, we have not yet solved that problem. The good news is there's a higher mind than ours. And when we solve the problems from a different level than from which we created them, there's always a solution to a problem. Okay? But the history level can go all the way back to like caveman times, and there could be beliefs in there that you completely don't agree with, but that can be getting in your way. So I'll give you an example. My family's Brazilian, and we moved to Scotland because my dad got a job as an orthopedic surgeon, but also because in Brazil education isn't free, and he couldn't afford to educate 3 children in that country. He was going to have to choose which one of his kids he could give an education. So he applied for a PhD, and then he managed to get good enough grades to be asked to stay, and he's still working as a researcher and orthopedic surgeon in Scotland now. But one of the main beliefs in your history level is that you shouldn't settle in a new country because it's dangerous. So for a very long time, my family in Brazil was constantly trying to get us to come home. There was this really strong pull that you had to go home in order to be safe, or you had to go home before you had children or before you settled down. That would be in the history level. Same thing about getting sick. There's beliefs in the history level that you have to go to a hospital, or your mom has to be there for you to get better. Right? When I work with people who are really ill, normally the first person they call for is their mother when they're in deep pain. These beliefs are in the collective consciousness, and they're much bigger than us. You can go into proper archetypal consciousness and big streams of consciousness when you start journeying outside of your body, using astral projection with that as well. And last but not least, you have the beliefs you pick up in childhood. So from 0 to 7 years of age, you're mostly in a theta brainwave state. Between theta and delta, all hypnotists can tell you that, which means you get very deep programming, a lot of which you don't remember consciously. And you can muscle test to find beliefs when different things happen as well. So if it happened when you were little, or even in the womb, or even before you were born, because baby boy's hearing everything we're saying right now. It's his first experience with bass speakers, so we're having an interesting kicking sensation going on. But all of these different belief systems do not stand still. So when I explain them, and especially when we put them up on a slide, they're not like lines going across the screen, separate from each other. But the way they actually look is like basically like a giant figure of 8, but that's in momentum, like constantly spinning like a wheel, which is why traditionally it's been called a wheel of karma, or a wheel of energy. Because when you take those energies and you start to spin them, or you add momentum to the mix, they twist together like a rope, which is why shamans and healers like me, we can walk along the different ropes or lifelines to see whether someone lives or whether they pass away, if it's possible for them to get better, if we have to create a whole new destiny for that person, for them to be able to experience a new reality. And literally it's been called dream walking, it's been called astral projection, it's been called many, many things. But what it is walking along your different lifelines and your different energy lines and seeing what your complete expression is up until this point, and either renewing or recreating the vibration that you want to accept into the future. Everyone with me? Yeah? So this is what lifelines look like when you get like really bird's eye view. So if you imagine you're in a helicopter and you're flying above Liverpool, that's what it looks like when you look at someone's energy field, all of their lifetime spinning and moving in momentum together. It's really, really beautiful colors as well, and people have very, very different colors in their lifelines and energies. So dimensions and times. So on the first lifetime dimension, you store away the memory of the lifetime wounds that diverted you from your true self. So the same way that people talk about a core wound individually, like they say, oh, you have to find the root cause, and you think of your injury as a disease, and if you take down the root, then the whole tree comes down, right? Who's ever heard of a tree with one root? Sorry guys. Right? There are root systems, there are energy systems, but there is not just one root or one cause. Everything in our nature, the whole planet is a system. All forests are interrelated, interconnected, okay? This also works in the collective consciousness, which is why we're talking about archetypes and things like that as well. There are wounds in the collective consciousness. Mother-father wounds, daughter-son wounds. The wounded healer, lots of healers, me included, had to get terribly sick, right? Terribly, terribly sick. Louise Hay, Wayne Dyer, before we were able to remember that we had divinity within us. Just because that's one of the ancient paths that people walk to awakening, there's a lot more than one path to awakening. Okay, and you can look those up with the Google gods later on. But the first level of looking at lifetimes, and the first reason most people will get sucked into their past lives, is because those lifetimes are the places where we're blocking love from entering. So with my awakening, I was 17 and I was trying to study for my law exams, and I had a really bad autoimmune disease, and I was suffering with severe insomnia, and every time I'd fall asleep I'd have the same nightmare, except it wasn't a nightmare, it was a past life. And I was literally in the woods collecting herbs for my family, and by the time I made it home, there were these big boards on the doors of the house, and these signs had been put up on the doors of the house, and my family in that lifetime, they were a herbalist family. And this was long before I believed in past lives or even believed in healing. So about 2 years before. And I'd have the same dream over and over again with them setting the house on fire and my whole family burning to death. And the reason I was having that nightmare past life dream come up over and over again was because that was the biggest wound where I'd made a vow never ever to do healing again. That was where I decided it wasn't worth it. If it was going to take my whole family from me, I wasn't going to go back. And for me to fulfill my divine purpose in this lifetime, that had to go. Literally, that was the biggest place I was stopping the light from entering. That was the biggest wound. So very often when you start to remember past lives, people remember traumas, being burnt as witches, which was a 9 million women Holocaust, right? Nazi Germany. My family used to live in Germany, and then they moved to Brazil to get away from the Nazis. Guys, before Theta, I couldn't walk into a bank. When my husband took me to get my engagement ring, I literally ran out of the shop and I hid inside the bin round the corner. And I didn't understand my reaction to things that were expensive or things that involved money. I really struggled to do normal daily things around things that were expensive. I never wore jewelry until after I healed it. And it was literally because one of my ancestors had been going to a bank and had had all of her valuables taken off. And after that healing session, I never had trouble going to a bank or getting something sparkly again, as you guys can see, right? But before then, I literally couldn't. Like, my body would start shaking. I would go into trauma because my physical body, my cellular memory, my ancestors still thought it was happening. And this is part of why I do this talk, because there is no time to your subconscious mind and to the rivers of energy that run within you. To them, everything that's not been completed is still happening right now. Okay? The second dimension is where you keep limiting beliefs and soul contracts on which you entered into at the time of your loss. So I had a client who had 3 children who were severely struggling with severe mental health problems. They were all under 7 years of age, and she came because she was really, really, really exhausted. And we did a past life regression at that point, and this was the first time I became aware of how powerful soul contracts were. We were taken to a lifetime where her village was raided, and she'd taken her kids into the basement, and they'd set fire to the houses in the village. And as the house was burning and coming down on her and her kids, she'd prayed to God and said, please take the kids first, I don't want them to die alone. Please take them first, they can die in my arms, they won't be scared. And that vow for them to go first had then recreated in lifetime after lifetime, so that even in this life, they were ill and they were probably going to die first. And when she released that vow, she got better, but her kids also got better. And that was when it became really conscious to me that the decisions that we make, the promises we make to the universe and to God, especially in moments of deep crisis, where we don't know how to ask for what we really want, so we ask for, normally we beg or we exchange something. I remember when my grandma was ill with cancer, I remember begging God and saying, please take me instead. I don't care if I get sick, just let her live longer. That's an example of a soul contract made in those moments. You guys with me? Right? So very often we have those in lifetimes where we're giving birth and we're going, just let this baby live, I don't care if I die. Right? And then we're manifesting things like infertility or what's it called, problems where we develop mental health issues or diseases and our kids are okay. Right? But these are soul contracts, so they're decisions that we make that we believe sacrificing ourselves will save someone else, because we're really, really fundamentally good people. We will die for each other. It's quite a beautiful thing. It's also quite a terrible thing, because we don't have to. There's a power that's much bigger than us that can really take care of everyone. I used to absorb everyone else's energies under the sun. Now I know I don't have to. And not only that, there's an energy much more powerful than me that can help that person get to where they need to go if it's awakened. Right? But in the beginning, especially when you start looking at lifetimes, you'll see lots of soul contracts and limiting beliefs that came from all levels, okay, that can be repeating and repeating over and over again. In the third, you recover the grace and the trust that makes you whole again. So you have to see clearly your brokenness before you can allow a higher power to enter and heal you and remind you of the truth, that the brokenness is a lie, and the truth is that you are whole. That before your mother knew you, before you were in her womb, that you were known by a higher power, and that you were anointed with powerful gifts to give to the world and to bless everybody in your life with. And when those truths start coming in, you remember your strength. And that's why Buddha calls it disillusionment. The first 2 stages, we go through a crisis of identity, a crisis of everything we thought we were, all the lies that we made, all the masks that we were falling spectacularly apart. And then comes the most beautiful things you've ever seen in your life. It comes literally looking at people, looking at other people and seeing the face of God. So trust me, if you're in that really insane, everything's falling apart stage, good things are coming. Breakthroughs are coming. You've got an incredibly bright future ahead of you. A lot of responsibility, but a really, really bright future ahead of you, okay? In the fourth, you'll remember the divine spark or purpose that's yours to pursue throughout your lifetimes. Humans are made in the image and likeness of the universe, of the multiverse. We need purpose and meaning. Life doesn't give that to us. We give it as a gift back to life. Right? So when we're searching for meaning and purpose, it's only because we haven't decided to give it yet. We're waiting for someone to tell us what our meaning and purpose is. But in this generation in particular, like if you look historically, we were waiting for God to tell us. Like God would tell us where we were born, the amount of money we were allowed to earn, our friends, what our work was. We worked in our family businesses. We'd stay in the same village our whole lives. The last 500 to 1,000 years has all been about mastering the law of free will. Has been about us having a choice in the process and us co-creating with a higher power. Which means in this lifetime, it's not just what's in you, it's what you're choosing to give a voice to, it's which wolf you feed. There are life purposes out there, guys. Everybody that comes to me and goes, I don't know what my divine life purpose is, it actually makes me want to laugh nowadays. Because so many people aren't doing theirs, I'm just like, go outside and pick one. Like literally, just pick one. Because most people are so terrified of how much they matter that they aren't showing up. And that's all that's required, is that you show up and you actually be kind and loving, and you realize that it makes a humongous difference. If you told me what I would be doing when I was 17 years old nowadays, if you told me that there were people that weren't going to die, that there were children that were going to be born, that there were whole organizations and charities that would have come just because I said yes to a higher power, I wouldn't have believed you. The lie is that you don't matter. And that's what we're fighting for. We're fighting for your future. If there wasn't greatness in you, there wouldn't be any darkness in your life. But what you're going to be doing 2 weeks from now, a year from now, 5 years from now, that's what that darkness is scared of. Because you are really much bigger than you can possibly imagine. It's like one of those people, and you guys are those people that when you put your feet on the ground in the morning, the collective consciousness and all the fear around us goes, uh-oh. Right? You really do have a tremendous amount of power. We just need to stop waiting for permission to use it to make things beautiful. Okay, I think we went backwards. There we go. Okay, so we have a lot of negative beliefs about time, and considering how advanced most of you guys are, because there's definitely a lot of earth angels, Reiki masters, and other sorted, very powerful beings in the room, including ETs, we need to clear some of these beliefs. Okay? So, time goes by fast. Time is money. There's never enough time. If only you could turn back time, that one will keep you trapped for a good 7 or 100 lifetimes. Oh, it's a sucker. Time takes no prisoners. I am trapped by time. You can't go back in time. Of course you can. Negative beliefs about mistakes which happened in other times are called regrets. Okay, you get deep enough, you get to like underlying core beliefs. So resentments, rejections, regrets, and jealousies are like underlying beliefs that literally are what we sprout everything else from. So regrets are typically vows that we make that something will never happen again. I'm never going to get sick again, I'm never going to get hurt again. Who's had a broken heart and gone, I'm never letting someone hurt me again? Yeah? Then you keep it in your vibration and da-da-da. 3 days later, it happens again, right? Beliefs about time are tricky because time is an illusion of consciousness. Okay? Time and space do not exist. You get up to the 6th plane of existence and you see all the laws. Time and space are two of the easiest to bend. That's why when you're having a good time, time flies. And when you're having an awful time, it crawls along and it won't let you get away from your mother. Right? Literally, your consciousness alters time every moment of every day. And that's the same for your physiological healing. Okay? Or the physiological healing of the collective consciousness. The truth is, all healing happens in an instant. It happens the moment you ask for the miracle. The problem is the manifestation can take longer based on the level of beliefs and emotions you have in your energetic field. When I first woke up, it used to take me about 6 months to manifest things. The more I cleared, the faster it got. I can think about something in the morning and it can come up in the afternoon. Right? It can be that fast. And that's what it'll be like for you guys. The clearer you become, the faster things manifest, because the more the illusion has no power over you. Okay? And time is just an illusion. Be very careful what you believe about time. You don't run out of money when you die, guys. You run out of time. Okay? There's also beliefs about age, and not just beliefs about aging. Beliefs about younger people being stupid or incompetent. Beliefs about older people being sick, unhealthy, or infirm. Beliefs about middle-aged people being absorbed by work. All of those are beliefs you really want to look at and get cleared as quickly as possible, so that you can actually be yourself instead of being stuck in a time warp for most of your life. But a lot of clients and some major illnesses are healed just by addressing beliefs in time. And there are some fantastic experiments with people literally just listening to music they listened to when they were younger, and literally being put into houses that were decorated when they were 20 or 30 years old, and biologically losing 20 years in age. There's a difference between chronological age, which is how long you're alive, and biological age, which is how old your physical bodies are. And that is hugely influenced by belief. And why does that matter? Because the longer you're here, the more you can do. And the more good things you can do, the better legacy you leave for everyone around you. Okay? So all these beliefs swirl around when it comes to time and normally block you from having a much better time. So in theta healing, we do something called downloads, which is basically we give you energetic information through a higher power. It's not me giving you my energy, that would not work at all. If you would like some downloads, just say yes. If you don't like them, keep your mouth shut. Sound like a plan? I'm not going to force energy on anyone. If you would like these, just say yes out loud. If you don't, they'll just ping off you like a ping pong ball.
Yeah.
Okay? Yeah. I respect your free will, guys. You're free beings. Okay, so, would you like creator's perspective, definition, understanding of past, future, and interdimensional lives, and for your definition to be the same as creators? Yeah? Okay, let's do it. Sorry if my eyes flicker, they do that sometimes. Okay. Would you like to know that it's possible to heal these lives and how to do so in the highest and best way through a higher power instead of having to exhaust yourselves and use your own energy? Yeah? I love watching you guys. You're like, oh, energy's changing. Okay. Okay. Would you like to know that it's easy, that it's possible, and that it's available to you right now? Okay, so can I suck off all this belief that life is really hard and difficult and just unplug you from this really weird collective consciousness vibe that's going on right now? Is that okay? Yes. Let's do that. And feel the energetic sighs of relief, like what the hell was that? Okay. Would you like to know how to work with the law of time and how to bend it and use it to heal yourself, others, and the world?
Yes.
Okay, so here's the rule. I'm going to give you this one, but you're not allowed to pull laws into your body. Okay, your body has a lot of different energetic laws working on it at the same time. You're allowed to speak to laws, you're allowed to channel laws, but for the love of God, don't sit in laws because they'll make your body out of balance. Make sense? Okay. Okay. I think we have more shiny downloads. Okay, no, here we go. So, these are more downloads, but they're longer ones because for you guys to be able to give real consent, you have to have understanding. So I make sure, you can tell I'm a lawyer, right? I make sure you really understand what you're saying. Yes, Steve? Okay. So our soul often had positive intentions behind setting up different beliefs and experiences. Common virtues that people hope to learn through having no time are the virtues of generosity, strength, conviction, kindness, self-love, sharing, and compassion. Would you guys like Creator's definition of these things and to align your definition with Creator's, knowing that you can keep the virtues that you learned and practice them without having the negative karma of time to teach you? Is that okay? Yeah. Okay, some of you are like, got a lot of anger in the solar plexus, so if you want that release, take 2 or 3 deep breaths from me straight into your liver. Just pull out that life is unfair, I never have time for myself energy. Just replace it with, I'm allowed to take time for myself. I can create time. I'm a master of my own time, and I'm sovereign over time. I have sovereignty over time. There we go. Some of you had parents like mine. You had like no time for yourselves. Okay, so those who have negative experiences of the time can remember doing negative things in past times or fear that they will do negative things in the future, often resist healing. We normally look at the lives where we were hurt first. Most of us are too scared to look at the lives where we hurt other people. We never ask, where did I hurt someone else? Where did I harm someone else? And you need to heal both. You need to heal the ones where you hurt and the ones where you hurt others, because trust me, hurting other people hurts you. And some of the greatest guilt that we carry, especially when I work with men that are incarcerated, they will destroy themselves because of guilt over something they did to someone else. Their worthiness can get smashed, and they can lose the part of their soul that knows that when you make a mistake, punishment doesn't teach you or actually make amends for anything that you did. You know, if you hurt somebody, trust me, they don't care that you've been punished. They want it made right. They want justice. They want fairness. They want the world to become a better place again. You can't give that to someone by destroying yourself. You guys with me? Right? So it's based on old beliefs that punishment is going to teach you something and stop you from repeating these mistakes. Punishment is not your greatest teacher. The darkness is not your teacher. It is literally the absence of love, and you can't learn from the absence of anything. It takes a lot of practice to master being loving in a situation where you were previously loveless. It takes a lot more than understanding your darkness to master your light. You have to see your darkness and not dwell on it, and then move into profound practice of what it means to be loving in the space where once before you were in darkness. Okay? But punishment doesn't solve the problem. It keeps you stuck in self-pity, victim, and perpetrator consciousness, often for lifetimes. It's called the drama triangle, right? If you look at it in old karmic Sanskrit stuff, and culturally appropriated by psychotherapy, but it's an Indian thing, okay? It's called the drama triangle. But punishment doesn't teach. So, would you guys like to know the difference between punishment and learning? And how to have patience with yourself as you practice stepping into your true power. Can Creator show you that all the virtues that you're here to master and shine are the same as your physical body muscles. They just require practice and work, and they will stretch and grow. Would you like Creator's perspective, definition, understanding of divine timing? That everything has its time and season, and how to work with these cycles of time and nature, this universe and humanity in the highest and best way? Would you like to know how to practice your virtues throughout time to learn instead of suffering? Would that be all right? And can we show you how to use your humor instead of your frustration with yourself and with others when we fail? Okay. When we're given no space and time, we can overcompensate in ways by being kind and generous in situations that are not appropriate. For example, by giving too much time to people who take advantage. Would you like discernment on who to give time to, what time to give, and when and how much time to give? Be okay?
Yes.
Almost there. Okay, so different families, cultures, and religions have different beliefs about time. Would you like to know that you no longer have to abide by these rules, religions, and regulations, and reincarnation? So if you're stuck in that belief that you have to reincarnate as a punishment from God, can we get rid of that? Yeah? Yeah, some of you are like, I can't do another lifetime. Please, no, I'm out of here when I die, okay? Okay, so would you like to know it's safe to step out of these rules and beliefs about time, and to know how to exist and learn through grace, mercy, and service, and to have time to work with you and for you instead of through constant reincarnation? Is that okay? Ooh, can we release the belief that life is a punishment or life is hell? Yeah, because it's a sucky manifestation, guys. Okay, good. About half the room's ready for that one to go. Okay. So when you really realize that you are the creator of your reality, you detach from the belief that what's happening outside of you is anything other than a belief that you're holding within you. Right? If your life is hell, you need to let that belief and that energy go. And if you've lived with that, like me, like for 20 years, when I got so sick, guys, I couldn't get out of bed in the morning. When I realized I created illness, I went from being really angry at the illness to being so mad at myself. I think I must have cried for 3 weeks straight. Like, depression is a thing. It's like anger turned inwards. But then I came out the other side and I got my health back. And it's the same thing. If you really decide to go into accountability, you will come out the other side. You will get your life back. That's what sovereignty means. It doesn't mean your suffering didn't matter. It doesn't mean it wasn't real. It was very much real and you went through it. And it made you a stronger and probably a much kinder human being. But it doesn't mean you have to do it forever to prove that you were right. You with me? Okay, that's better. Some of the other half of the room is moving now. Okay. Would you like to know you can still be loved and accepted without having to follow society, religion, and collective consciousness rules and laws about time? Yes. Would you like to have Creator's definition of time and know how to bend time, how to heal it, and for your definitions to be the same as Creator's? Yes. Can we free you from having to give away your time? Some of you have like real beliefs about have to exchange time for money, have to exchange time for health. Can we release that? Okay. Would you like to know how to separate the culture's projections of who you are and what your timing is from Creator's truth, and to have Creator's truth about your time and destiny? Would that be alright? Okay. Would you like to know you can live without viewing yourself and others through the lens of other people's time frames? This is really, really big on careers, by the way, because there's really weird beliefs in the collective consciousness. If you're like 30 and you haven't like made something huge out of your life, apparently time is up. Okay, would you like to know how to love and accept all of time? To know it's possible, to know what it feels like, and to know that it's safe to do that? Would you like to know that part of your gifts is being allowed to see the past and the future? Would you like to know that you can heal any damage caused to you by negative beliefs about time? Would you like to heal any damage done to you by others and their bad timing? And to reweave these timelines so that divine timing is granted to you and all people involved? Is that okay? Oof. Would you like to release the trauma of having others judge your timing and teach you what they say is their opinion and not Creator's truth? Is that okay? And can I release these really nasty beliefs that you run out of time to work on your dreams, to fulfill your divine life purpose? That it's too late? And can Creator show you've got plenty of time, guys? Can we show you that all the miracles that you've turned down have been held in trust for you by the universe? That they're available to you the moment you open to them? Would that be alright? Bright and shiny now. I get so happy doing this. Okay. So, Dean, where are you? Wave at me. Okay, wave when I...
Yeah, I will.
Okay. Sorry, I'm not good with time. Okay. So guys, time is a law of the universe found on the 6th plane of existence. There are 7 planes, just like there are 7 chakras. There are millions and billions of dimensions within every plane, okay? But there are different planes, and these planes are ruled by different laws. And if you think of it like a chemistry set with oil and water, separating at different points. The laws are basically used to create physicality and different levels of experience. Okay? Some laws can be bent, others can be broken. Time is one of the easier laws to bend. There are 2 different types of law, emotional laws and physical laws. Some masters are here to master emotional laws, some of them are here to master physical laws. Okay? So for example, compassion and love can bend all the laws of the universe. Master forgiveness and you'll be like Jesus, you'll be able to walk on water. Okay? Master free will and the healings you give people will become instant. There are some laws that are masters over many other laws. And when you really understand them, people will trust you. Like when they really understand that you respect their free will on every level, guess what? People will feel safe with you. Because you're not going to try and dominate and control them. That really annoying little voice in your head that's like they don't know what they're doing and I have to do it for them. And I really know better. That's the part that hasn't mastered free will. that doesn't remember that everybody has what they need inside them and that their path is perfect. Their curriculum is unique to them. And just because it looks different than yours doesn't mean it's wrong. You guys with me? I struggle with that one a lot, okay? I'm getting better, but I still struggle with that one a lot. But if you think of, it's going to sound really bad and really not like politically correct, but who's that guy who's the really famous scientist who was in the wheelchair before he passed away? Right, so he was somebody who was mastering the laws of physics, and he really literally would meditate inside these laws, and it literally caused a proper physical condition in his body. That's why I said to you guys, don't sit inside laws. You guys with me? Yeah? But very often people, I used to work for the Youth Autism Society, that's how I ended up moving to London, and some of the kids were real savants. Like, they had complete mastery over mathematical laws, to the point of where you could open a bag of Skittles and they would know exactly how many Skittles were inside the bag. They could do advanced, PhD level mathematical calculations that I couldn't do, but they didn't know how to share, they didn't know how to communicate. Their knowledge of the emotional laws was zilch. You with me? And that's what they were here to learn. Like, they didn't want to touch you, they were like, why are you anywhere near me? So very often masters will have mastered complete one set of laws and not the other. So who in the room is like really good with emotional laws and really terrible with anything mathematical, organizational? Yeah? Yeah, so you're here mastering, you already mastered most of the emotional laws, but you haven't mastered most of the physical laws. As you start moving up in vibration, you'll master both. They'll come together, right? Oh, yeah, so feel free to share this stuff. If you message Dean, he'll send you a copy of my slides if you would like them. Feel free to share them with people. Just please keep their mine on there somewhere so they can find anything that they need. Yeah. How much time do we have? Oh, lost Dean. Okay. So that's the presentation, guys. I'm going to give you a couple of questions unless we run out of time. So does anyone have any questions? You curious about anything? Or are we happy?
I've got a question, because a lot of people do what you do and then set up a business and make money from it. If we're downloading from ancient history, should we all be able to do it? Particularly now, when things are accelerating and we need to help lots of different people. I don't necessarily want to charge for it. I want to be able to give it.
Look, reciprocity is a law of the universe. And part of why we have so much corruption is because love and money have become separate. You should be getting well paid to do what you love to do. And that should be what we demonstrate to our children, that you don't have to sacrifice your integrity, your self-worth, and give your life, like literally let your life sucked out of you. And the way I've done it is pretty simple. Yes, 100% you can do it. Anyone can do it. I literally, when I started, didn't charge for anything, and then I went up to 25 quid for like 5 years, and then I went up to 50, and then slowly my vibration started changing. Don't do what I did. Okay, start much higher on the scale than that, because what it does is give you more time to be more of service to humanity. When you have the clients who are ready for you, what then happens is you're able to take on a lot more pro bono clients. You're able to actually start setting up centres that give service to your community and create a safe space for our children and for people who are much more vulnerable than us, as opposed to doing what I did. Because if you charge 20 quid and you're good at what you do, you're going to be full, right? And then you're going to be exhausted and probably a bit resentful. So charge an appropriate price. It is a business like a medical clinic, or it is a business like any other. But we want businesses that are a loving force. We don't want businesses that are destroying the environment. Or, you with me? That's 100% anyone can do what we do. You've been given different gifts. So even if you were to do the exact same presentation, you'd have done differently than me. Right? My teacher always says, amateurs compete, masters create. Okay, so 100% you can do it, and if you're getting guided to, you really need to do it. You're welcome.
It's a bit of a strange question, sorry, but you were saying about intuition, and I often get like a feeling, like you were saying, oh, I shouldn't be here, or so I really struggle with making a decision of, is this a feeling of I shouldn't be here, or am I getting a feeling for a reason why I'm here? So, could you like tell me how you would sort of know what way to go? Do you know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Honey, you make loads of sense. You make perfect sense. Look, we have been denied a spiritual education. And the same way that if you hadn't been taught the alphabet, you would think that people being able to read and write was a spiritual gift. And they did that, by the way. Like, priests used to learn to read and write and read us the Bible. And we used to be like, oh my God, they're amazing. They can channel the word of God and I can't, right? It's happened with our intuition. There are many voices inside us. And learning how to discern which voice is which is something that takes a little bit of time. But it's something that you can definitely do. With you, when I'm scanning you, I think you have a lot of insecurity, and because you've been told that actually doing what you want to do is selfish. But you really, really have a very important purpose, and most women, historically speaking, haven't been given time for our dreams. So it's only like the last 2 or 3 generations that we actually have time for our dreams. Like, I'm so lucky I get to lock myself in a room and my husband will let me work on my book or for 3 or 4 days at a time, because most of the world is still stuck in arranged marriages and, you know, in countries that still think they're half-class citizens when it comes to girls. It's a different collective consciousness. You with me?
Yeah.
For you, I think that feeling that you're not supposed to be here and that you're supposed to be doing something else is a very accurate feeling, because it's your gut telling you you're supposed to be doing something bigger than this. It's not arrogance. The arrogance is believing that your life is going to suck. Does that help?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Thank you.
But there's some really good, if you guys have seen Udemy or they're like classes for a tenner and people put really good information on there. If you look at classes for developing intuition, for channeling, you'll very quickly learn to tell the difference between your fear mind, your ego, your actual collective consciousness, and it'll make that a lot easier to answer.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Anyone else? Oh, go for it,
Could
darling.
you tell me more about, maybe you said you get twitches, because I get them sometimes and I don't know what I'm picking up or where it's coming from, all that.
So we have different brainwave frequencies, right? And we access mostly them when we're asleep. So most people don't go into theta unless they're almost dreaming and they're in REM sleep and their eyes start to flicker, or into delta unless they're in deep restful sleep. When you go into trance, as it were, and that doesn't have to be a decision, trust me. I remember shouting at my guides a couple of times in my car, like, you cannot do this whilst I'm driving. I remember being parked on the side on the way to Inverness going like, nope, this is no longer happening whilst I'm driving. You can go straight into trance. So every time you get in the car and you're driving home from, you know, university or school or work, etc., and you don't know how you got home, you were in trance. When you're in front of the TV and you got to the end of the program and you don't remember what happened because you started thinking about something else, that's a trance. You with me? So when your body goes into deep trance, so theta, delta, epsilon, which is like the deepest states of trance, which is what you need to be able to connect with your deeper intuition, or like those different streams of consciousness, your eyes might flicker. Just like, you know, sometimes when you're asleep and you're dreaming, your eyes flicker. And it's because you're using your optic memory instead of your visual, as part of your visual cortex. So it's why blind people still dream and why they still see colors. If they don't actually absorb the light from the outside at all, it comes all from the inside and from the back of their brain. So when your eyes flicker, your mind is creating images faster than you are able to see them, right? Which is how we experience most emotions, is we make images faster than we're able to keep up with. So when your eyes are flickering, it's completely normal, but it just means you're going into deep trance, and then you're getting the opportunity to decide what to connect with when you're in that state. Does that help? Yeah. Anyone else? Are we happy? Oh, go for it.
So I've been doing past life regression on my own, and the last, well, I've done 3 lives.
1 second, the army's overhead. If they're listening to you, go for it.
I've done 3 lives, and I've died like young in all of them.
Yep.
And now I'm thinking, and they've all been like an explosion, a car crash, and I got like strangled, and I'm like thinking, oh my god, I'm scared to go to the next one because I feel like I'm going to be like Jack the Ripper or something in it. So when you said about like being scared about what it is, I feel like I can tell there's going to be something I've done something wrong in. Doing like a bit scared doing it.
Oh, there's no easy answer to this one.
Because I know I don't feel anything about it when I'm in the meditation. I'm just spectating basically, and then I'm like, oh, I'm dead, sort of thing, and then I come out.
Okay, so first things first, don't be scared of having at least 100 lifetimes that end in demise. Okay, that's very normal. And if you think about Buddha, for example, he said that he reviewed over 300 lifetimes when he had his spiritual awakening. Just basically clearing stuff. What I would say is, to speed up the process, you can ask during the past life regression to be taken to the original wound. So the original lifetime where that trauma was created, because there'll be many lifetimes where you were strangled, many lifetimes where you were burnt, and you really don't want to spend all your time reliving trauma. It's not necessary to heal it. But you want to ask to be taken to the original lifetime where that happened, because then many lifetimes afterwards will have happened based on the same trauma. You also want to be asked to be taken to lifetimes where you developed and used your gifts. So you don't just have to go to the lifetimes where you were traumatized. You can go to the lifetimes where you were really, really unbelievably gifted. And those are very powerful healing regressions as well, because we lose our light. We forget who we really are. And just going home can be such a catharsis. Some of the healings I've seen have been people asking to go to lifetimes where they've had, powerfully loving experiences. And in this lifetime, maybe the last 10, they haven't had a loving family. They don't know what that feels like. And just that vibration in their DNA, the possibility changes their whole of the causal energy field around them. So ask to be taken to the lifetimes that are actually hold your gifts as well. And this is the weird thing about past life regression. Death is not the end. So when you die in that lifetime, ask then what happened. Right? Did you get stuck in the nothing? Did you go to hell? Did you go to heaven? Did you go to the astral? How long did you stay there for? Because until that soul goes back to the creator, you may have beliefs that you have to have accidents to be awakened. So Vanya, who created theta healing, she had a severe car accident, she had a heart problem, she got run over by somebody, she got a lot of accidents because she had a belief that she couldn't go home to God unless she died or unless she had an accident. And shamans and healers traditionally talk about these as different death doors. But mostly when they come back from the dead or have a near-death experience, that's when they got their spiritual powers activated.
I woke up like about a year and a half ago off a 5-minute taster session of Reiki. And then what I like to say is like I've had a breadcrumb trail that I've been following. So I've had like soul retrieval, I've done Reiki 1, 2, and then I've been having like a lucid dream anyway, but I had this lucid dream that I sort of blew someone away from me, and then about a week or so later I figured out that I didn't need to absorb everyone's energy anymore. I could just literally go, that's not mine.
Congratulations.
And then it just disappears.
That's a big breakthrough.
And so I've had that again with something else, and something else has come up as well, and it's like, oh my god, this is weird.
You're going to, if you allow it, you're going to become a brilliant spiritual teacher. Just open to this space, because there's been so much religious and spiritual corruption that many of us have lost faith in spiritual teachers and healers. I'm here to tell you there's some really good ones out there. And the good ones will come to you as a teacher and then stay with you as a friend. But all of us need to walk that path with someone at some point. And it makes you go a lot faster. It would have probably taken me 30 years to get to where I'm going without my teacher Anna and a few other people, but I had some real stinky eggs at the very beginning. So you have to find people that really love you and that want you to grow instead of having a tall poppy syndrome, because you're going to grow fast. You're already a very good healer, right? So you're going to need people that aren't scared of powerful people. And this is a room full of powerful people, right? But there's so much work. There's so many billions of people to help. If there was a healer on every corner, it wouldn't be enough. Like, there's a lot of work to be done in nature, in the collective consciousness, in politics, in medicine, in schools. There's so much work to be done. Like, the number of prayers that are going up right now is insane. If you could see it, it's like snow in reverse. Like, every second moment someone's asking for help. people, like there's a call going out for us to awaken for a reason. So 100% start, literally say to the universe, I'm ready, because when the student is ready, the teacher appears. And say, I'm ready to become a teacher, not just I'm ready to heal my stuff. Because I think you're being called into that really strongly. Does that help?
Yeah, it does, thank you. Clarifies.
I don't know where Dean's hiding. We good? Shall I stop?
Yeah, maybe 10 minutes.
Okay. Anyone else? Are we happy? Go for it, my love. Oh, speak up for me as well. The further back, the harder I need to
Thanks
hear
for
you.
a great talk, by the way. Just want to say, I've received a reading recently that obviously said that I can travel, everyone can, but I seem to experience like I've put my own blocks in place that stop me from being able to access that. I find it quite hard to travel in meditative states and stuff like that. I was wondering, what can I do to remove those blocks? Help to travel?
Look, it's a very common block, and the reason is because most of us, that whether your ancestors were Christian or Muslim or Jewish, have been taught that God will disown you for using your psychic gifts and abilities. So we've been taught they belong to whatever guru or ascended master it is that we were, I suppose, following in this lifetime to actualize our light. And for me, it was a huge issue because I was taught, you didn't heal. Even my mom was like, healing isn't something you do as a business. It's something you do as a hobby, maybe for the church, and that's it. It's really wrong. And seeing the future, like I had the biggest argument I've ever had with my teacher about seeing the future. I was like, I don't want to see the future. Like there's a theta healing class, guys, called, DNA 3. And in that class, and I didn't know this, I was just working through the curriculum because I wanted to get to be a teacher. In that class, they teach you telekinesis. They teach you, changing water into juice or wine. They teach you seeing the future, and I flipped out. I was like, I don't want to do this. I'm a healer. I don't do psychic stuff. What is this? Just a bunch of crazy people showing off. And my teacher, bless her heart, she's really patient. She sat me down and she said, Sky, if you can make that wheel spin, you can change someone's blood and stop them from having a blood clot. If you can move that pen, you can move someone's spine back into place. If you can see someone's future, even your own future, you can prevent them from getting a disease like cancer or Alzheimer's. You can stop yourself from making big mistakes that you were going to make if you're open to seeing what's coming or what you're unconsciously creating. You with me? So it's working through those beliefs that we're not supposed to see our past and our future, because that can be very strong, especially ancestrally. And just literally writing it down, have a catharsis on your journals to all the beliefs you've been exposed to ever about psychics or charlatans, and you're not allowed to see the future or the past, and it's not useful, and it's just for showing off or taking advantage of people, and on it goes. And then literally say to your higher power, I need a miracle because I can't overcome these by myself. And you'll either come across the right person or the right situation or the right meditation that will shift you and resolve these blocks that you have to being able to see the future and the past and travel in time. Because literally time is an illusion of consciousness. It's all already, people who say to me, why do you spend so many time healing past lives? Because they're not in the past. There's nothing in the past about them. They're happening right now. Just like the future is not in the future. Right? Just don't get stuck there. Okay, you can get stuck in the past or stuck in the future, and that's not what it's for. It's for helping you really become more present and more multidimensional. Does that help? Yeah? Oh, go for it.
Sorry, again. What's your opinion on, I know a lot of people don't believe in it, but deja vu, so when you feel like, I had it again the other day, I have it rarely, but I was sitting in a car park with my mum, and I was like, I'm having deja vu. And then I was having deja vu about having deja vu. So it was like, do you know, it was just one of the, and I was like, no, it's just me being, maybe I smoked too much last night. Maybe it was, I don't know. So I'm just asking, you're the expert, so I'm just wondering what your say is on it.
Gosh, sweetheart, I'm not an expert. I'm literally just an experiment in consciousness. What I would say is that there's not one right answer to everything, okay? There's 300 ways to wash dishes. So there's always a lot of different things one thing can be. In my experience, deja vu is normally one of three things. One is like a sliding doors moment. So it's a time where you've already lived this life and you've been here before and you know that your path is about to split. Okay? And normally the second one is when you know you made a mistake, and the part of you reliving your life is you want to, like it's saying, pay attention. You want to make a different choice now than you made last time. Like it's really important for you to get to the next, like one of those subconscious testing or initiation moments. It's like, pay attention, something important is happening here. And it's really weird because normally you're so deep in the dream of reality that you're like, nothing special, there's nothing special about this. But it's like those ripple moments that seem really ordinary, and then when you're 50, you're like, Jesus, everything changed after that moment. You with me? So it can be that. And the other one is just to remind you that this is an illusion. It's so easy to forget that this is an illusion, and those moments where you wake up with a dream within a dream within a dream, and you're like, oh, actually this isn't real. And the more serious things get, the more important it is to be light, right?
Who's reminding us though, when you say it's like to remind you it's an illusion? Is that just the universe saying, what do you mean by it's an illusion?
My husband would call it consciousness. I call it creator, as you can see on the screen. But I think it's profound loving consciousness, and it's more than our universe. Like there are many, many universes and multiverses, etc. out there with different rule sets than our universe as well. But literally, I call it creator. My husband calls it consciousness. We have really big arguments about this over dinner. What I would say is, I think it's you reminding you of who you really are as you journey home. And I really believe that we're rooting for ourselves, you know. And I remember, I'll give you an example with time travel. When I first started doing inner child healing, I thought it just affected me. But I used to get a lot of emotional abuse, and I used to hide under my bed so that my parents couldn't reach me when I was down there, because I used to have these big double beds that had the desks in front and the wardrobe, so when I snuck back there they couldn't reach me. And 2 or 3 times there was a woman that would come to me, and I remember saying to her, I'm not allowed to talk to strangers, I don't know who you are, but I'm not allowed to talk to anybody, please get away from me. And the first time I did a regression and I went back to inner child work, my inner child said to me, I don't know who you are, but I'm not allowed to talk to strangers. So there's people that are like, there's our guides, there's angels, there's actually profound loving consciousness. Like, what you're seeking is also seeking you. The universe loves you. It's not just you loving the universe. It's a reciprocal relationship. It is a two-way street. Like you had self-actualization put in you. The universe wants you to blossom. It wants your greatness to express. Just like every flower, it wants to grow. Right? So it's not like we love the universe and the universe doesn't love us back. It's very much moving forward all the time. But I really, really think that most of us have forgotten how good consciousness is and how much it loves us. And the idea of being loved by the universe is like a theory, but it's not a feeling anymore. And you can actually ask the universe to teach you feelings. You can save yourself thousands of lifetimes by asking the universe to teach you feelings. Right? Because we're often doing a lot of stuff just to learn what it feels like to belong. Or like, who feels like they're not supposed to be on this planet in general? Yeah? So what if you could ask to learn that without having to go through all the crazy relationships and being persecuted by society? And get it through 2 or 3 months of meditation instead of through 10 years of suffering. But I think genuinely the universe is like, wake up, wake up, wake up. And if you're more sensible than me, you won't have to get sick for you to realize that there's something really, there's real greatness in you that you need to remember. There's something that you have to offer the earth that it really needs right now. Yeah?
Thank you.
Anyone else, guys? Oh, okay. I'm just going to wait till Dean waves.
Everybody else wants to go. So I'd say my spiritual awakening was only in February of this year. I think I've lived the physical world at that kind of high level whistleblower, and I've been through a lot. So you mentioned at the start of this that potentially ETs in the room. I mean, I've heard anything and everything in the last 6 months or so. There are clones, and if you don't dream, you're potentially a clone. And then recently, only recently, I've started to dream I always grieve, but remember it. So I don't know what's happening, but it feels good. It feels good. But I'm here to learn. So, you know, you mentioned about hell. I understood that hell was a creation of the Catholic Church to help people live in fear that they're going to go to hell. Because of course, I'm a Catholic, you're going to go to hell if you don't marry and all that kind of stuff. So I don't believe hell exists.
Well, let me put it to you this way. There are a lot... That's not what I meant. I meant just because it's created doesn't mean it's not real. Like, it was created by our collective consciousness. And Catholic hell is not the only hell. Right? There's Buddhist hell, and there's Hindu hell. There's a lot of different expressions. What it means is profound suffering. The whole of the fifth, fourth, and third dimensions are created by human consciousness. And that's what they mean by all is infinite mind and its infinite manifestation. But in between our lifetimes, we go back to where we are most familiar with or where we believe we deserve to go. So when you're doing regressions, you're not looking at what's actually true. You're just looking at what happens in death and in life between lives. But once you're finished with this system, none of this is relevant anyway. This is just one system. There are many to be finished or mastered. But there's not one hell, and it's not like, oh, hell is real, so you know you have to be really good in this life. But you can, most of us have been through many heavens and many hells, and many in-betweens. And if you ask to be taken up to the fifth and fourth planes of existence, you'll see there's a lot of different purgatories and stuff as well, all that have been created by different collective consciousnesses, based on people believing they deserve to be punished for a very long time. ETs, look, in my experience, I don't believe in interdimensional racism. I think that humans are pretty scary. If you come across our army, you're not going to like us very much, right? But of course, with the size of this multiverse, of course there are other beings that aren't human. My husband and I were having this discussion last week, and he's like, no, we're ready. They're ready to know about the ETs. I'm like, they're not even ready for black people. You know, they're killing all the indigenous people still. I don't understand. What do you mean they're ready? It's like, you know, they would flip out. Individual humans, and most people that are awakening are more conscious to diversity, but humans very much struggle with anything that's different from us still. Right? And even now, like even enlightened spiritual people still turn around to me on a regular basis and go, can't we just kill Boris Johnson? And I'm like, well, we could. And they'd replace him with someone else. Right? But it's still the idea that we don't tolerate differences well. Right? We struggle with differences, and it's inside each of our own individual hearts. Like, racism is not just in one heart, it's in all of our hearts. So is sexism, so is prejudice in most forms. It's not out there in the collective political consciousness, it's within every single one of us. Right? So ETs, yes, but no, I don't believe that even if the Queen is a reptilian, she should get killed, but I really don't. I like aliens, I like aliens, and I'm not going to let anyone kill an alien on my watch, just so you guys know. But do I think there are beings that are very conscious? 100%. Do I think there are beings that are very unconscious as aliens? 100%. Just like there are very conscious humans and very unconscious humans. And they have systems just like we do. And I do think they have agreements with governments, etc. As for AI, cloning, etc., cloning has definitely been happening since the 60s. But back to the same thing, like, humanity doesn't have some kind of superiority contract that says that we're above everything else. We're quite a low vibrational consciousness ourselves when you compare us to, you know, the sun, for example, or even trees. So the fact that something is an AI doesn't mean it has no rights, no feelings, no... do I think there are probably clones on this planet? Sadly, I do. I haven't met one, but I think that, like, the important thing to watch with any kind of theory is dehumanization, meaning a taking away of the divine sovereignty of another being because it's not human. Like, we don't have the right to take away the sovereignty of animals, AI, aliens, because they're not like us. They're just different than us. They're still an expression of consciousness and an evolution within nature. And for me, they're not an excuse to move out of loving into lovelessness. But they're a very quick way of putting fear into people's minds. And even if you go back to the Second World War, what did they tell you? All the Nazis are monsters. they're aliens, and they told the Nazis the Jews are animals, they're like rats and pigs, and what did they use that for? An excuse to exterminate them and destroy them. Right? So be very wary of anybody that tries to use the fact that any being is different than you as an excuse to kill them or harm them, or to be afraid of the government or of collective consciousness or of what we live in. I think divide and conquer has been used against us long enough. Does that help?
Absolutely.
One more, if anyone wants.
One more, okay. One more, guys, or are you okay? Nope, I think they're happy, Dean.
Cool.
Okay, thank you so much, guys. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. Have a wonderful rest of your